Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Imran, Web Squadron. Hope you're okay. Today's chat is gonna start off with me having a little bit of a mini rant, and it's not meant to be a rant, but I'm gonna be really honest about my thoughts about something that I'm seeing just too much, and I'm really gonna be nailing it down within the Web Squadron Facebook group. If anyone is watching from YouTube, can you please just drop in a comment just so that I know for sure that we are definitely live, because I believe we're live, but I often don't know we're live until it's so like I get a comment, "Hey, friendly girl, Mackie, how you doing?" So I don't want this to come across as a rant, but I. I'm going to be curbing or closing down any comments in the Web Squadron Facebook group where people start off with um, unhappiness about Elementor updates, or they believe Elementor is bloated, or an update broke their website. Because what tends to happen is, hey Eric, how you doing? What tends to happen is when you have like an issue, the comments below deviate from the question and then go into, well, Elementor is this, Elementor is that, blah blah blah. And what I'm saying is not because I use Elementor, so it's not an Elementor fanboy rant. Okay, I'll get to my point. The issue is that a lot of people that use Elementor, some of them use the free version and then they've gone and loaded loads of plugins on their website. Then you have some people that have got Elementor Pro, but they didn't appreciate WordPress. Hey, Stacy, they didn't appreciate that it's files and database. And even though you got Elementor Pro, that doesn't mean you go and add on loads of plugins. I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll deactivate, I'll reactivate, I'll pop this in, oh, I don't like it. And before they know it, their WordPress websites probably had about 50 plugins. Some are still there, some aren't there, and they shrink, grow, stuff like that. So the back end is getting convoluted. And just because you deactivate and uninstall a plugin, there will be traces of that still in your database. Meta fields, there's stuff still existing. Doesn't always go away. No matter what anyone tells you, believe me, it doesn't always go away. So when you compare Elementor to stuff like Breakdance or Bricks or anything, they are not the same. Because when you use Bricks, with Bricks, you're getting a lot of stuff that you don't currently get with either Elementor Free or Elementor Pro. So you would have started off with very basic in the first place. I can tell you as a matter of fact that when you start building out your website, when you have just Elementor Pro and Bricks, the performance score and the speed is near the same. And the amount of DOM and stuff you're getting, Bricks is better, but it ain't that much better. Don't be fooled. When you start off, Bricks is better. But as you start to build, there's a catch up. Believe me, there's a catch up. So what tends to happen is, by the way, Eric just says, having the hardest time finding a plugin. I'm going to come back onto what I'm saying in a moment. Now, very good point. I don't know what would work with Rumble. Can you reach out to the WP Social Ninja team? Go to WP Social Ninja. They do a really good plugin for Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Insta, all of that stuff, Instagram, Google reviews, right? Go and ask them. See if they've got a solution for you, Eric. WP Social Ninja. Go and ask them. Feels like I'm passing the buck, but trust me, ask them. Nitin, how can I add the phone prefix? You're going to have to use a plugin. There was a way. There used to be a geographical location one. Have you done a WordPress search? Have you asked ChatGPT? Back to my point. So there's a lot of conversations that start off about Elementor, and then the conversations drift into use Breakdance, use Bricks, use Gutenberg. That's okay, but it feels like it's so lopsided, really lopsided, where they are almost not answering the question asked, and they feel like, well, it's given me the forum to just say, I hate Elementor and I don't know, right? Nothing is perfect, but nothing is overly superior either. Because what I'm getting to is this. In fact, I kind of remember what I was getting to. It's gone out of my head. I'm talking about Elementor, the forum, the post. Damn it, I had a point I was trying to make. How stupid is this? The whole talk was about a point I'm making. Oh man, it's gone. Oh yeah, here's my point. I started using Elementor about 5 years ago. Was it 5 years ago? No, it's about 4.5 years ago I started using Elementor. Roughly 4.5 years ago. In my 4.5 years that I've been using it, only 2 updates have caused a problem for me. The first one was when we went to Elementor, where we had the Elementor 3 and we had the global colors and all of that. And that's when I realized I wasn't doing it in the best optimized way. So I learned a lesson, right? The second time I had a problem, I think it was Elementor 3.5, 3.5, 3.6, something like that. And they did something and it affected my nav menu. And I had to deactivate a certain feature. Hey, Humbert, how are you? And then I reactivated it when they fixed it, because they fixed it within 24 hours. So only twice have I had 2 updates cause a bit of an issue. Easy to fix, weren't a problem. A lot of people can... Now, why do I not have any other issues? Because I hear them all the time. The update did this, the update did that, my website broke. I do not use too many plugins. Lean and mean, right? I use what I need to use. But if I don't install a plugin for one little thing if I feel like it's going to cause complications or problems. Hey, Eichmann, I try not to go for third-party Elementor add-ons. In fact, I know I don't, right? Don't do it. So I'm leaning mean with the WordPress, with the snippets, with the performance, with the SEO, with the Elementor, all of that, even with the Bricks website, lean and mean, right? Keep, use what you need to use, but be very careful what you do want. Don't overload it. I got the Hello theme. I don't have the 2023 theme sat there. No, I don't need it. Delete. I get rid of stuff I don't want. I optimize. So whenever there's an update, I do not update straight away. That's the other mistake people make. Why are you updating like on the day it's come out? The updates come out, but it's not really for you. It's for the other third-party plugins. They are told 2 weeks in advance, usually, about the update and what's happening. So they have time to prep their... Hey, Maddie. They are prepped for what's coming out. But some of them are lazy and they wait until the day of release. So it comes out and then within 24 to 48 hours, they will then fix and do what they need to do. You as the user should not be updating on the day. WordPress, eventually we're going to get 6.5. You do not wait. You do not update on when 6.5 comes out in March. You wait 1 week, right? Because there will be issues. Hey, Sinan, there will be issues. So never update your plugins, your WordPress, anything until after a week, unless it is a vulnerability or a security fix. So Elementor had 3.18.1, or was it 18.2, where they had to fix a security issue, and they fixed it. That's when you do it, right? So it's me just kind of voicing off that every time I see these issues, it's like, well, why did you rush into updating? Oh, because I wanted to. You didn't have to at all. You didn't have to update. You could have waited. Now, Humbert says, how many plugins is considered okay? So most of my Elementor websites, right, non-WooCommerce, will be a maximum of, say, 8. Usually 8. So you'll have Elementor 3, Elementor Pro, Rank Math, right? Oh God, I'm running out of my head now. FastPress, Code Snippets. You'll have a security plugin. And sometimes that is it. That might be it. So that's like literally what, 6? Then you might have like some extra stuff on if you need it, whatever. I'm trying to think what else, because I normally have a blueprint, a covered fast press, rank math, security. I think that's it. Sometimes WP Meteor, but I now use a other way of doing it. But you know, when you got WooCommerce, you'll have WooCommerce. You might have the payment gateway. So that might be 1 or 2. So there's 3 there, and that's it. I might have asset cleanup to stop some of the WooCommerce JavaScript. Right, now we've gone from, say, 7 to 10 to 11. Even then, I'm keeping it lean and mean, right? So it's when I see a basic Elementor website that's got like 24 plugins, I'm like, why? What's that all about? You don't need it. Grid Builder, you might need that. So that then takes it up to 12 for the WooCommerce. Right, let's just scroll down to other comments coming in. Hey Imran, how you doing? Maddie, SiteGround is doing the updates in auto. You can, Maddie. You go to your site tools, you go to WordPress, and you can deactivate and stop the auto update because they will run the update within 48 hours, I think it is. You get a warning, but you can go to site tools and you can go and do that. Yeah. Ben Bodo Cash. Well, you could use a code snippet to kind of do that. You could use light speed, WP fastest cache, but even then, right, basic Elementor website, that would be a maximum of 7 or 8, right? WooCommerce, you're now looking at, if you're using Grid Builder or an extra plugin for filtering, you're now looking at maybe 12 or 13. You're still keeping it lean and mean. Do you know how many websites or people contact me and they've got performance issues, and then you go in and they've got like 50 plugins? And you're like, you got Elementor, you got Elementor Pro, you got Happy add-ons, Essential add-ons, Element Kit, Premium add-ons. You've even got the Elementor header footer builder plugin as well, but you've got Elementor Pro. So what's that all about? Oh, we had that when we had free. Then we went and got Elementor Pro. So why have you not got rid of the Elementor header footer plugin? Oh, because our headers are still built the old way. Well, why don't you build a new way? Oh, we ain't got time. Right. You ain't got time, but you come to me because you got performance issues. The solution is staring you in the face. Yeah. Make it lean and mean. Hey, Mark Harris, how are you doing? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to post, didn't I? If anyone wants to join the live chat, you can do. Hey, Dave, I've left a comment on your video. You have got permission. You can't do it for previous videos, all right? I have to. So when you have a new video, if you want to post it on the Web Squadron Facebook group, Dave, there's only few people who are allowed to post videos, right? Because I have to stop people sharing videos from some influencers I couldn't give 2 rat's asses about. Dave, you did a video today about Brick's loop grid. If you want to share it, go for it, mate. How are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good. I've just come in to talk to you about my performance issues.
Oh, why? How many plugins have you got?
Oh dear. Well, this could move on to a Uranus chat very quickly.
Oh wow, go on then.
Yeah, do you know what though? I mean, on some sites I've got boatloads, but it's knowing what
it's when you
using
need
them
it
for.
Yeah. I think if you know you need it, like there was one website I didn't want to, but we did end up hitting nearly 25 odd.
Yeah,
and it was
WooCommerce. Yeah,
well, yeah, and it was because they wanted cart abandonment. They wanted a gift card. We had to then add in, like, I think it's called Hoika Wallet. So it meant that people could buy a gift card, and if they knew the account of someone else who had an account, they could literally transfer the money between accounts. And I was like, what the heck is this all about?
Yeah, and then the client wants invoices and packing slips. They want table rate shipping. They want
or fulfillment
min-max order quantities. They want color swatches. You know, it's like, yeah.
And this is where I always say to them, right, you're going into overkill territory. It feels like they've gone and read a book online about how to make your e-commerce website be successful. And these people list every single method you can do to maximize your sales. They go, we want to do that. We want to do that. We want to do that. And I'm like, I don't think your client is going to care at all about this feature or what you're doing. Oh no, we got to have it. And you go, okay, fine.
Yeah. Hang on a minute, Ben. Yes, all the time. It drives me potty. Try Pro update first. Sometimes that then works, but yes, frequently it's your plugin is at the latest version error or something like
Yeah,
that all the time.
I don't. I tell you what I don't like. I mean, like I've said, don't update straight away. Is when it says Elemental Pro, there's a new version, and you wait a few days, and then you click it, and it then says update failed. And you go, what? What do you mean you
Mm,
update? No, sorry. It says you already have the latest version, but
yep,
you're
yep, yep.
not. You're
I
like
know. So
one
you end up
version
having to
behind,
do
and you
it
go,
manually. Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
behind. So what's
The other
going
thing
on
that
there?
annoys me about Elementor is they don't update. They don't add security fixes to old versions. So let's say you're on 3.1, 3.6 point something, and
Yeah,
then there's this security thing, and then you were kind of waiting because it was also wrapped up in a. So they've released a major version, and you're waiting a week, and suddenly there's a security fix for it, but you still want to wait a bit for that major version, and then suddenly it goes to 3.1 point, and you just, oh, come on, guys.
exactly. I'm just going to quickly say, so Dave, I didn't post a link, but you know the Facebook group, the Web Squadron one. Just go in and put in a brief description. You don't have to say it's answering a question. Just say this video is about da 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 da. And if anyone says anything, I will. You've got permission, right? Because I can tell you now, people like Paul, you're okay. It's just when I've had to, like, again, I'm having a rant here. Some people have been posting videos from other people, and I've kind of said privately to them, until that person is happy to share my videos, I'm not going to let our group become a portal for them.
Mm.
They can go and build their own group up. Um, what's the weather like for you? It's pretty tragic around here at the moment. Rain and wind and rubbish.
Yeah, every dog walk is a chore, I can assure you.
Do you do much for Christmas? Have you done like your shopping, or do you just kind of chill
Not
out?
a lot,
No, a
not a
lot.
lot.
No,
No.
no. I just let my wife buy the presents. I don't care. As long as I get a lovely big plate of turkey and mash and just lovely food. That's all I care. That's the only thing I look forward to.
Do you actually take a day off?
I've already planned to do recording videos on Boxing Day, so yeah, I might take the day off ish. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll still be on my phone. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to be on my phone. I'm still going to be answering questions and stuff and comments and things, whatever. But yeah, I'll be. I'm just looking at Devoted Dogs questionnaire. He goes a small call center. I want to make a small website where I can provide my services. Yep. But I'm stuck to make a website. Okay, well, Devoted Dog. What I'd say is, what are you using? Are you using WordPress Gutenberg, Elemental, Bricks, Divi,
Breakdance?
Visual Composer?
Or have you not even got that far? It sounds like you've just bought a domain and
I
stalled.
I have a sneaky feeling that you've probably gone and got a GoDaddy website and you're now trying to use the GoDaddy page builder. Tell me if I am wrong. I have a feeling that's what. Are you from the UK? Are you from the UK? Devoted dog. Devoted dog. I'm not sure. I can't really tell the geographical location, but I'm guessing it's I've got a feeling it's either GoDaddy or 123 or Bluehost. So if you can provide some more details, that would help, and we can try and push. Oh, okay, yeah. So here we go. So please recommend some free themes. Yeah, but what are you building? What are you building? So it's a bit like someone saying to me, "What shall I have for a takeaway?" I then recommend something, and then we find out when we're burying you that you had a cashew nut allergy, and that biryani was full of cashew nuts. So it helps to know the details about what you got. Friendly girl says, "Don't mention GoDaddy." She's having. Oh, we always do, don't we? We always have a bit of an issue whenever we have a go. When was the last GoDaddy client you worked with, Mark?
Mm.
That long ago?
Remember, I host all my client sites.
Ah, yes, I forgot. Yeah,
But I
last.
still occasionally have to log into GoDaddy when they've that's where they bought their domain. that's
That's not so bad though. I have to say, when it comes to domains, they're pretty okay.
yeah. Well, considering they own everybody.
Yeah, they're pretty. I mean, a lot of other domain companies are actually subsidiaries or to GoDaddy kind
Yep.
of thing. So they actually provide a GoDaddy license through their website as well. They just don't declare it or whatever. So GoDaddy have got a bit of a monopoly. My last GoDaddy website was, hey, Artif, how you doing? My last GoDaddy was, that sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? My last GoDaddy. But it was August 2021. And I've managed to,
It sticks in your memory.
it does, because it was you create a staging site, you work on the staging site, and then the staging site goes down. And you can contact GoDaddy and they're like, oh yeah, we can't, we're not responsible for that. And I'm like, it's your and the settings were just total awful as well, kind of there. Friendly Girl says, I still have a current GoDaddy customer who still has, I think, 2 years left. Yeah, do you know what? When a client contacts me and they go, yeah, I've got GoDaddy, but don't worry, I haven't got the basics. I've got the deluxe GoDaddy package. And the deluxe package, all it does is give you a staging site facility.
That's the sugar daddy package, is it?
Yeah, sure. But the fact it's called deluxe, and they think, oh yeah, it's the best, it's the deluxe, and they're paying a lot of money for that. And then I try and steer them onto kind of like something else in a way. But going back to what I was ranting about earlier, even though you kind of host a lot of the sites, actually, no, that doesn't really make a difference. Do you have like a cutoff point or a buffer with how you apply? I can't get my words out, with how you apply your updates. So do you wait like a couple of days, a week? Do you?
When I get round to it.
There is some truth in that, actually, because there is some truth in that.
Yeah, I log into main WPC. There's like 700 to do, and I just
Oh
go,
wow.
yeah, that's a tomorrow problem.
That's the other reason why I have slowly, every time like a legacy client that says, oh, you know what, we're going to move our website elsewhere now because we want to do XYZ, or we're going to shut down our website, I don't try to go, no, stay with us. I'm like, yeah, go. I always feel like it's bad enough worrying about your own website when you have like an update, because obviously the Web Squadron one, we have customers going in and out and they buy courses, and I'm always like, if I go and hit this update and then I got to load a backup and then it screws up with the customer database, or something like that, it's like there's so much more risk attached to it, especially when you have a WooCommerce. Do you have many Woo? Yeah. So do you always feel that sense of trepidation about some updates? Like you go, like the WooCommerce ones, when they do a big one, I'm always like,
yeah, those I do tend to leave a little while.
yeah.
I'll update the add-ons around it as well. Make sure they've all updated. It's a bit like when there's an Elementa update and you've got add-ons for that. I really want to wait for all of those to push an update before you hit the button on Elementa.
Now, if you read what Artif's written there after the hyphen,
GoDaddy are currently a pain in
my Uranus. I mean, it sounds like you've got very friendly with this GoDaddy person. Devoted Dog, I've used null themes. No, don't do that. Right, look, if you're I mean, it sounds to me like you're trying to create this website, right? And I've got a feeling it's probably going to be related to donations and stuff like that. I'm assuming.
It's a call center.
Hey,
this is call center one.
It's call center. Sorry, it's Devoted Dog. I got it wrong then. Yeah. Just don't do it. I mean, did you tell us what you're using, Devoted Dog?
Yeah, it's WordPress. So he wants a theme where he can pull in some sample demo stuff.
Elemental. He's using Elemental as well. Okay, right. Just use hello and build it out. Or if you want to hit the ground running, just go and install Astra and go and install Astra and just use one of their starter templates and then learn from there, reverse engineer So if you want to hit the ground running, because it sounds like you've sat on it for a while, just do that. Would you agree with that?
Astra, yeah.
Yeah, it's a safe bet to go for. Go and get Elementor Provo as a tip. Don't use the Astra header footer builder. It's you'll regret it later on.
Yeah.
Hum-
Love your life. It's asked the same question twice, and that's because we didn't notice it, or you were ignoring him.
oh, do you know what? I'm really
Or
slow
her.
on scroll. I'm gonna have to speed up the scroll down. What about hostings? I've come across some cheeky companies. Yeah, Hostinger's fine. SiteGround is fine. Just stay away from Bluehost and GoDaddy. Right, I'm going to scroll down really quickly in case I've missed anything. Love your life, Mark. I was going through code snippets this morning. Font ratios. What exact? Oh, go on. I mean, I know now, but Mark, do you want to explain it a bit more with the whole?
I've slept since I did that. Why did I do it? Oh, yeah. So really, it goes hand in hand to help you with the clamp stuff, font stuff that we did, because it asks you to put numbers in there, and you're just kind of scratching your head, randomly putting numbers in and eyeballing it. But in the old typesetting world, well, in lots of things, there are ratios that are meant to look and work well together, like the golden ratio. But basically, it just, you put your starting size in, and then it
Yeah,
increases the other sizes based on a fixed ratio, like 1.2, so that they look right together, rather than jumping from, say, 16 pixels to 27 to 42 to 56. It just goes up in a nice measured way,
yeah,
and it does the maths for you, basically.
yeah, and that's yeah.
Rubbish explanation, sorry. Try
No,
it.
there's different like laws of thought about like the whole like the triangular theory of like you start here and then you scale down and there's like like H1, H2, H3. There's even the Fibonacci sequence one as well where they kind of go, and there's another one as well. Oh, I can't remember, but
But they
there's
give them
certain
all funny names, don't they? Like major thirds, minor thirds. Yeah.
that confuses me. Whenever I see that, I always sort of go, just give me the number. Just give me
Yeah.
the damn number, right? I can't visualize it, kind of thing.
Uh,
But I wanted to say to Devoted Dog, you're asking a bit more about the whole data import, and I feel like there's more we need to know about what you're trying to do. So please go to the Facebook group Web Squadron and post more details there. You might have to be a bit more specific. So what kind of data are you importing? Where does the data sit? Is it on a Google sheet? Is it from a SQL database somewhere? It, and also you got to think a little bit more um, careful as well. So is this sensitive data? Is it customer details? What are what are you planning to pull through? And is WordPress the best option to use or not? So yeah, I'm trying to get you to go and put it on over there just because I think it will. You might get some better answers than what I'm spurting out at the moment. Jake the dog. I was wondering a website with Hugh. Whoa. Nah. Um, you can use SiteGround. Nothing's going to stop you. You can use Hostinger. You can use Cloudways. There's loads of servers you can use. When it comes to certain plugins, I'm not sure about that because it very much depends on what you're trying to show or what you're trying to do. I mean, in this scenario, I would just pull through an Excel spreadsheet as long as it was all pre-populated with all of the image URLs and all of the variations. If anyone contacted me today and said that's what they wanted to do, unless they paid a huge amount of money to cover my stress levels, I wouldn't want to work on a website with that many products. I can tell you now, I've worked on websites where there's over 100, and believe me, when it goes wrong, or the client wants a change, or suddenly there's another attribute you got to add, it ain't fun. I mean, I don't know if Mark wants to talk or not about screen resolutions.
oh, piss off.
No, let's not. So, I mean, that's what I mean. It's just like, I mean, would you work on a website with 1,000 products out of curiosity?
I work on websites where they might not have that many, but because of variations, it works out at more than that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the
um,
whole
yeah, it's hard
Cartesian
work.
product.
It's really, really hard work. And those are always the clients that don't have a clue and want you to look after even the products. And
And it gets messy.
as for importing and exporting, don't even consider it if they haven't set up SKUs for everything, because
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
just everything relies hidden secretly on the
And you know what's worse is when so the very first time I started using like the Excel sheet bit to get my client to fill it in, they had a vegan chocolate shop. So it was chocolate, but it was all vegan. And I gave them the spreadsheet. And what they did was they went and copy pasted stuff from elsewhere, but it was like in an Excel sheet, the way they pasted stuff in, it 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 just doesn't work. It wasn't comma. It didn't work with the whole comma separated and the way the way things feed through. And it was how to explain it. The text they pasted in was an image in some places, and I was like, I can't use that. They're like, of course you can. You just need to rewrite the text. I was like, hold on, hold on. I've just asked you to pop the text in as text, right? Because they've got this big image, they were expecting me to manually rewrite it in. And I went, no, 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 no. So um, it can get, I mean, that's why, if you want me to do a WooCommerce store, I'll do it. But I always price it at, I'll do your first 3 or 5 products.
I vary it
There's
because
a premium for every other product.
if they've got lots of categories and I want to test it properly, I'll say, well, we'll add one for each category.
Yeah.
If I want to test filtering properly and things like
Yeah.
that, you need
Exactly
more
that.
than a handful. So, I'm not gonna shoot myself in the foot for later down the line. I've got no problem with entering a good few, but there is a limit.
Yeah. Oh, it's this is where the fun goes out the window, because when you're working with a client, you want to almost maintain this kind of like friendly relationship between you all. Hang on, there are loads of comments coming. I've missed them. Yeah, I'm really slow on the comments today. You want to maintain this relationship, and the minute you start to feel like they're taking the mick, every time they ask you for something really simple, you resent it. You're like, oh, another.
Yep.
And
That and some. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Palav says, can I make a tutorial on blog filter? Yeah, I've done stuff on grid builder and filtering and JetSmart filter. You're saying you got category A, B, C, and subcategories. So when user click, then subcategory. Yeah, grid builder, elemental taxonomy, JetSmart filters. So if you go over to our channel, I have got videos kind of
That
on
just
that.
reminds me. I had a client ask me to take off their category filtering from their blog.
Why?
Right. I don't know. I didn't question it. I just turned it off.
Because they had too many?
Not well. They will, but
Oh, right.
it's at the. But did I turn it off or did I just hide it? I can't remember. Probably knowing me, to save myself a job later, just hid it.
I tend to just hide it, because I always feel like I don't want to go through the whole styling and
Yeah.
stuff like that again.
You get to a point though, don't you, when you've been doing this long enough and working with clients, you get through an email with changes and you want to go, but that's terrible idea. That'll break this. That's bad for
Yeah,
okay, that's bad for excess. And then you go, you know what? Sod it. I'm just going to do it so I get this done quicker and get paid.
that's exactly how I do. Hey, Paul, great to have you here. Now,
Bento
Digital Ad
grids.
Expert says, what do you recommend is a good, I know Mark's smiling at that. What do you recommend is a good web design? Bento is grid.
Yeah.
But when you say dynamic,
well, that's not really
that's
a
yeah,
design
that's
theory,
I
is
mean,
it? That's
I'm not sure about what you mean. I mean, unless you meant to say flex. I mean, I think it's subjective as to what you want
yeah.
to build and how you want to build it. I mean, grid is grid. In a way, grid contains within there the flex container. So, it's like Apple and Pears. You could have a flex container with a grid inside. You could have a grid with another grid, or a grid with so I would say that it's a case of what do you need to get what's in your head or on paper on the screen, right? So I
Yeah,
don't
but I
think
mean, then sometimes designers also just want to follow the flavour of the month, even if, oh, don't let it. Oh, hello, Paul. Sneak kid. You've been rewatching Red Dwarf by any chance?
No, I haven't. No, but
Okay.
I
I
thought
just had
I
a picture of Dwayne Dibley come up in my feed on
Did
Facebook
you?
today. Yeah.
Doing Dibley?
well, we haven't had a new series for I think a couple of years. I think they're filming one soon.
Really?
Oh God, I hope not.
Red
Yeah.
geriatrics. Good
Yeah.
lord. They're not young anymore, are
Yeah.
How are you doing, Paul?
I'm good. Other than a complete lack of sleep for the last week, yeah, I'm
Oh, the
good.
cold. Are you over that now?
No, my little boy, he fell out of bed while in his cot last week. So we decided, right, that's it. He's not staying in his cot anymore. So he's going into his bed, and trying to keep him in there has been a bloody nightmare. So
they? Hang on. Aren't cots like cages for sleeping children? So how did he fall out?
because he's a little bloody monkey.
They're good at climbing.
Okay.
I think by the time they're like 1.5, 2-ish, they are very good at climbing out, and they don't understand the physics of height and distance of where they're going to land. They for them they think the floor is that far away. And you just see them go bloop like that.
Yeah, head first at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. But
Nice.
yeah, once they know they're in a bed or somewhere else, they'll be in and out of your room, Paul. They'll be in and out all the time.
Well, he can't. We've still got a gate on the door itself, but at least that kind of keeps him contained in there. But he's just like, he'll just bounce up and down that gate, screaming at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Can
It's
you
like,
not just buy one of those big
Jesus.
dog crates?
Yeah, apparently it's frowned upon in
Okay.
Western culture. But you know,
Oh
say
dear.
no more.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, Devoted Dog says suggest the best hosting. Look, it doesn't surprise me that you've gone for GoDaddy because everyone gets sucked into the marketing and Harry Redknapp, when Harry Redknapp's using it, so it must be good. The guy knows jack shit about hosting, right? But or baking for that matter. But so marketing gets people to go for them. I don't like to advise on what is your best hosting because I feel like there's so much variation. I like to tell you what not to go for. I mean, in the UK, SiteGround's pretty good. 20i are really good. Mark provides hosting. He might, you could probably jump onto his hosting and he'll do your hosting for you. But I use SiteGround a lot. I've used 20i a lot. I don't have a number one favorite. Do any of you two, other than your own, Mark? Don't be biased, but other than your own, do you have like a favorite host
I haven't touched hosting in that sense for a decade.
Okay.
I really don't. VPS is so cheap. Server management panels are so cheap, and you can control. You're not. You can. What are you going to pay? I don't know. What's DigitalOcean's smallest droplet these days? $4, $5?
Do you like
really...
DigitalOcean?
All right.
I had a client with them, and it was. I kept having to contact DigitalOcean's tech team, and they kept sending me round and round.
Because it's not their problem. Because it's.
Yeah, they kept blaming they go, oh no, it's this and that. I was going, no. Anyway, I was about to say Smeghead then. Paul, what do you have a favourite?
He's a Cloudways boy, aren't you?
No, I use Cloudways. For me personally, for my business side of things, as in not the WP Tut side of things, I've been with a UK company called Klook for probably the last 12 years.
Who is that, sorry?
Klook, CLOOK. They're a UK-based company, and the one thing that people underestimate when they're looking for a hosting company is technical support as and when you need it, because you will need it. If you have more than one site on there, you'll need it. And I found that over the 12 years, if I've ever had anything, they have always been there for technical support. You can drop me an email and I'll get an answer back, usually within space of minutes, and the problem is generally sorted out in minutes. And for me, that's the one Devoted Dog yet, Klook.
Yeah.
For me, that is worth its weight in gold, because
brilliant.
There's a lot of times I don't want to have to deal with a technical issue. If I'm out and about, I can drop them a message, tell them what domain it is, because it's a reseller account I'm running on there. they'll deal with it. I've been asked them on many occasions to deal with that side of things for me, and they'll just log in and they'll do what I ask them to do. There's daily backup, so if anything goes wrong, and if you haven't got the time to run the backup, if something does go wrong, I've contacted them in many cases, say, look, can you just restore the backup from the latest one? They'll send me information about the dates they've got and the times, and they'll restore it, and it's usually done in minutes. Wow. So from my point of view, when you're running a business and you want to have technical support, and you should look for good technical support, that, in my opinion, is the key thing. So when I've looked at like working with places like Cloudways, working with like Hostinger and so on, I'll generally tend to sort of set up my own accounts with them. And I still run my own personal accounts that I pay for every month. And I'll test their technical support out and ask them questions, from like idiot questions to maybe more technically advanced questions, to see how quick they'll come back with an answer, and if they're going to be helpful, or if they're just like reading off a script of, or we need to run that up sort of like to the next level or something like that. So I would say, whatever you're looking to test out, or go for, like Imran said, go for recommendations to point you in the right direction, but then try them yourself, try their technical support, and see how you get on with it and how you get a feel for that company, or whatever they're offering. That's what I would suggest anyway.
Yeah, that's really sound advice, and I think it's I completely agree with that. Is that don't just base it on the price. Look at what you get, and you want to know that they've got your back. You want to know that they're either really secure, or if there is a problem, they're going to know what they're talking about, and not be like 123 Reg or Bluehost, who you can literally see through all of their garbage. But yeah, learned something new there. I've never heard of Klook, and I will definitely be looking them up now.
They're not one of the big players, like you say.
I was going to say, yeah, I've never heard of them.
But I was using a different company, and this is going back like 15 years ago, maybe longer. I was using a different company, and they were an American-based company fronted in the UK. And they were just basically reselling someone else's server space. And it would take 2 or 3 days to get a reply to an email. And while they were cheap...
Was it Mark's system?
Well, I didn't like to say.
No, my hosting's all managed as well, so I don't have that.
Even worse. Even worse.
See?
By me.
Yeah. But, it's like, so once you've had that experience, you very quickly realize that technical support is the key, because you are going to need it, regardless of what you think. If you more than one website, at some point you're going to need it. I just found that this got recommended to me. I tried them out, and like I said, I've been with them ever since. And I've never thought of moving my personal, my web design business, my freelance business now, over to somewhere else, just because I've got such a good relationship with them. Wow. They've always been so helpful when I've needed it. I'm no server wizard. I can do the basics. I can set things up, and I can fault find basic stuff, but I don't have the time or inclination to be faffing about with servers. I just have no interest in it whatsoever.
That's a pretty good recommendation there. Now, Love Your Life's question. I'm not sure how to answer this, because it says, how many typography headings is best to use in a website project? And I'm just trying to guess, like, do you mean H1, H2? Am I misreading this? Because I always say, only custom load and use what you need to use, but keep it to a minimum. Don't do what some people do, where they have 5 different font families and all sorts going on there. I'm not sure, Love Your Life, if I'm reading this wrong. So if you can clarify, like, is that what you mean? We'll be talking about font families or stuff, but...
or literally how many... how far down that list should you go on a page?
Well, your page must have a H1. Every page must have a H1. And you're most likely going to have a H... Oh, okay, he says, yeah, H1, H2 tags. So you're going to have a H1, and then you might have a couple of H2s maybe. And then you might have a few H3s. It almost works. It's the only time where a pyramid scheme is allowed in web design, right? So you always work like that. But you don't have to have a H4 and a H5 and a H... You don't have to do that.
Think of it a different way. Think of it as like an index in a book. If you kind of consider the fact that H1 is your book's title,
yeah,
your H2 are then the second most important headings. So they could be, your conclusion section, your FAQ section, and so on. And then if inside any of those you need to have more divisions, so more subsections of information, then you use your H3. But generally, like Imran said, H3 is generally as far as you'll ever really want to go, but it has to be semantically correct. So they have to have a hierarchy. Only ever one H1 on your page, then you use your H2s and your H3s to kind of control dominance of information. And they don't have to look the same. They can be styled completely differently for visual effect, but the HTML underneath it, your H1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and so on, they are the things that say that H1 is the most important heading, H2 is the second most important, and there can be multiple H2s. And then inside any of the H2s, you may have something else that needs a heading, and you use the H3.
Yeah,
So think along those lines
the,
semantically.
the thing to avoid is then inside your H2 having a H1.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't want to have
Yeah.
the higher. You don't want to have a lower number
Yeah.
below.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay if you go like H1, H2, and you might have a H3. Then you have another new section. You start with a H2, H3. That's okay, but just make sure your H1 is. Make sure you haven't gone H1, H3, and then you've gone H2. And the bit that always sometimes catches some people out is when they're trying to smuggle in their keywords into the H1 and the H2 tag, and it doesn't read in a nice, natural way. And sometimes on some websites, because the wording they've given is so tragically poor, I might have the H1 tag, which contains the keyword, but the H1 might literally be font size 16. And the H2 might be font 28. That's okay. The H1 doesn't have to be the biggest size. You can have a small size, but just make sure your H1 is.
Do you think that's something that has been the general opinion is that, like, or at least that feeling that size and H1, H2, that's all it's to do with? I mean, because I guess it comes from a Word document background, because that has headings, and obviously there's no semantics involved in that, even though there kind of is. Do you think builders could do everybody a service by removing any default sizing to H tags, so they all come in at the same size?
I personally do actually get rid of any default sizings. I like to decide what I'm going to do, mainly because I get a bit fed up of, like, to be honest, I get really fed up of, like, whenever you drop something on and it instantly takes the primary global color. It gets on my nerves. I like everything
pale blue.
Yeah. Oh God. Why do
they didn't change it to pink?
Why do they still have that? I mean, look, if you're going to make everything purple, why do we still have that ugly blue and green color still coming through? I hate them. Hey George.
Hi, George.
I like to default everything out, and then I go. You might have a spec like a pixel perfect design you're working to, or as you're building on the fly, I will then decide, right, we're always going to go for ... But I like to default things out. Are you like that as well?
Yeah, I think this is where a framework comes in, and I think this is where Elementor are still missing a trick. It's okay having the sort of the global styling, the starting points and the media and what are they called, media kits, what are they called? But once you start to use, you move away from the reliance upon the builder to do these things, and you just rely on your framework, then you open up a much faster workflow. It's like I'm literally just scratching the surface of using a framework at the moment, but I'm finding that it's so quick and easy. What's that, sorry?
How are you getting on with core framework? I assume you're sticking with it.
Yeah, I like it. I really do like it. I think there's a lot of nice things in there. I'm still working my way through it, and I will release a video probably the beginning of the year now, where I can sort of sit down and I'll combine that with bricks and build a full project out. But it just speeds up the whole process. Once you kind of get used to the sizes that you want, and you can use the vanilla setup, or you can customize it and tweak it. And Imran's done some great videos on using Clamp and using the sort of to be able to sort of create your typographic scales using Clamp and so on. And that's all integrated directly into core framework. So you can literally just put your largest, your smallest font sizes for anything, your font families and stuff like that. And it's just so quick and easy. But just the consistency you get is a case of a right click, choose what you want from your predefined global variable, your classes and so on. And boom, you've set up your spacing. It is that quick and easy. And because you can set up your color palettes, and you can set up your color scales and your transparency scales and so on. Whereas you have to do that, and like I said, I know you can streamline this process, but it's still very limited because you only ever have one instance of anything you can set a style to, and that in itself is incredibly limiting. So it's just nice when you start using frameworks that you can it's just so much quicker. And I say it's just a shame that I know that they're talking about having global styles and so on in Elementor, so hopefully that will be something they'll bring to the table.
Well,
but at least some ability to connect up a framework.
Wasn't there a video? Didn't they produce a video demonstrating their global style?
very early. It was on the roadmap from January. Then midway about May or June, they showed something, but even then you could tell it was scratching the surface, and we've not heard anything since then. Humbert's question, I think I've got a feeling I know where Paul's going to go with this. It very much depends on the project. So if the client is going to pay for, the time to be spent doing that, and we got a pixel perfect design or back and forth, whatever, then fine. If not, then it might be my favorite, which is scratch on a pad kind of thing, and then, build it out with a bit of, it's what I call fluid design, because they can't hold me to the fact that, well, that line wasn't actually that big because it's not to scale, so I can shrink, and it wasn't perfectly straight or whatever. But you don't have to. But it very much, I think it depends on your clientele, the type of client as well. Because some clients out there, some businesses, if you come to them with a scribble, they're going to look at you and just laugh, because they don't care that you've done it to save time. Sometimes some people, they literally expect Excel Gantt chart project sheets, and you go, I'm just updating your email, mate. What do we need to do? They expect a lot, but so it does depend on client, it does depend on budget, but it's down to what you're comfortable with. But Paul, Mark, I've got a feeling I know where Paul's going to go with this, but go on. Oh, Paul might not.
I'll let Mark go first.
Me? I haven't opened either of those products in my life.
Well, that's your answer. Anyway, moving on. No, sorry, Mark, go on. I'm just joking.
No, I mean, on one hand, I think, we've got these amazing drag and drop page builders where we can mock things up, easily show a responsive layout to a client as a wireframe. And I'm not the designer in my company anyway, so but I get them. I can see the benefit. But to me, it's like designing twice, so I'd be doubling my price.
That's kind of about right, yeah.
To be honest, I would disagree a little bit with the designing twice, because it's the argument a lot of people use. And the reality is, on a simple project, you're probably right. If you're literally creating a landing page or a typical sort of simplistic site with a couple of templates, you probably don't need to do it. But I think when you kind of go more complex, especially when you've got a sort of more comprehensive UX and UI. And the reason I kind of say this is because I did a little bit of work with Artif and Verdi to sort of design an idea for the sort of back end side of things, of code snippets, for the cloud side of things. And what it allowed me to do was I could create things and I'd look at it and go, okay, I can see where I'm going with that, but I can see a problem in it. And I could iterate that design and make those changes in seconds, copy the entire design over, make the design tweaks. So it allowed me to visually look at things and enhance and tweak the user experience. Not to say that they took all my ideas or the entire overall design, they took bits of it, but it was a good exercise to see, okay, I'm working for someone else's project. These are all the things they need. This is how I would approach it to make it more streamlined. And then it allowed me to sort of iterate different ideas and then give those over to them and talk through the different ideas and the reasoning behind them. And I think to do something like that in a tool like, Elementor, Bricks, or whatever you sort of talk about, your visual page builders, would be considerably more time consuming. And I think for most of us, we would probably be a little bit more lax in tweaking those things and looking at them from the same perspective, a little bit higher level than you do maybe with a tool like Figma or something like that. But to answer your question, Imran, to kind of go back, do I still use it? Yes and no. I think if you're going to wireframe for someone, even when you sort of use a tool like Figma, chances are you're going to use a UI UX library. You're not going to start every single time from scratch.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you're doing that, you may as well just use the library in the actual tool itself. For example, I bought Bricks Maven, a library with I think it's about 350, 400 templates, sections. And that allows me to very quickly just chuck an idea together. And I might refine that using, Figma. If I had a bigger project, they've got a UI UX library of all those design templates for Figma. And the same goes with frames, with ACSS and that. So you could kind of have a hybrid approach, but I think I would kind of agree with what Imran's saying. It does come down to budget, timescale, and the complexity of the project that you're working on as to whether it makes any sense to use tools like that. And if you want to, or if you need to, and you still want to keep the cost lower than maybe a fully bespoke design, you can use those UI UX template libraries, knowing that you can use that as your design, wireframe it, flesh it out if you want to, but then you've already got those already built for you, and they're all fully responsive, and you can just build that back up with all those component pieces and custom elements should you need to, a lot quicker.
So actually, I mean, going back to the original question, the chap said they felt almost guilty for not using it, and I guess the simple answer there is, if it makes your life easier, if it's actually going to save you time on a project, go for it. But if it's just going to add workload to a project, which I imagine in some cases it would,
totally,
think twice about it.
It's subjective, right? And Paul makes a good point that I actually forgot. The whole thing about the UI, like you got so many for bricks, then like for Elementa, you got the Skelemental as well. It's so easy now just to go or even say to a client, right, you want to go for a hero banner, but we're not sure. Here's some styles. You don't even have to show them the website. You can just take screenshots and go, here's different layouts. And you're right, it speeds things up so much more.
That said, I mean, I love things like Skelemental, Bricks, and all those sort of things, but I always look at them and think, well, they're kind of basic.
They are.
When I think of things like Figma, I think of people producing these all singing, all dancing, snazzy layouts, and I'm just like, why would you need to? That's in my head. That's just done.
Do you know, can I just quickly say to me, I go on to Dribble a lot. I mean, the website Dribble.
It's an age thing. It's an age thing.
But, when I'm doing tutorials, like the one I've just done on Monday, I went on to Dribble, saw someone's layout, and I thought, I'm going to use that as inspiration. But I have to say, a lot of the Dribble designs, they're literally just designs. They're not built on a website. And when you look at them, you sort of go, how would you even create that? And you know that on a mobile or a device, it's
not going to work.
It's not going to work. No, the UI so back to Mark's thing. Yeah, go on, Paul. Sorry, go on.
But like they say, that makes the point that you kind of also have to make is that you look at sites like Dribble and Behance and they're great for inspiration. But
that's it.
How many of those sites would actually be a good user experience for someone using it as a website, not just as a visual thing? They're great for the designers to sort of flex their muscles and go, these are cool things. And you probably could build them with some CSS and JavaScript and so on. You want on these animation like motion. Yeah. But do they make for a good user experience?
No.
Probably not. The chances are, and there's a research done recently where they're saying, like, are most websites that are being done, these sort of like these designer websites, do they actually make for a good website? Are they really a good user experience? Because I hate where you have sort of like a mobile menu, that's the overall menu for everything, and you click on it and it's like it's massive. It just looks like it's made for a touchscreen tablet.
Yeah,
great if you're just developing it for that, but it's an experience. And where you have the animation things and everything feels like you're just scrolling through treacle, it's a horrible user experience.
Yeah,
or smooth scroll. I hate when somebody decides they're going to take control of my actual physical browsing experience.
Yeah. Or the mouse pointer has they changed something about the mouse pointer or something. There's lots of things that, from a technical point of view, they're interesting. From a usability point of view, they suck.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just gonna quickly answer. So Moami, he asked a question, and I'm going to quickly summarize it. So what he said was, it's about AI, and he's basically saying that he's done some jobs that normally would have taken him about 14 hours or 1.5 hours, sorry. And he's now doing it within seconds because he's now using AI tools. So maybe ChatGPT for content or images or whatever. And he says that normally he charges by the hour. So do I charge the old hours or the 4 seconds? Now, I'm going to say that's entirely up to you. If you want to disclose to the client that you use ChatGPT or whatever to do it, that's up to you. That's between you and them. Because quite frankly, I know people who edit books, and they've been doing it for years and years and years. And I know some of them, they go, yeah, I can edit like this chapter in like an hour, but I charge for the day. That's between them and the client. That's between whatever price they want to pay for. And I would say it's up to you. If you want to charge by the hour, if you want to charge for the job, So you're saying I'm going to create content for you. Whether it takes you 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, this is my charge for doing the content. Doesn't matter how long it takes. This is, in fact, I could almost say you might have someone who says they're going to build an extension for you, and this is the price to build the material, all of it. Is that dependent on them doing it in 4 days or 7 days? Does the price shift or change? Paul's going to say, well, it should do.
Oh.
If they're going to be there longer, they probably will charge more. But go on, Paul.
Probably. What I was going to say was AI is a tool. And just because you use AI, I mean, a client that I sort of been working with for a long time, I sort of rebuilding their website, and they've got your sort of typical sort of sections on the homepage kind of thing.
I've got a question as well.
Not a good one. And I just asked them, I said, do you mind if I reword that using AI just to streamline it? And they were like, no, that's fine. So if you want to be transparent about it, be transparent about it. If you don't, as long as the information that you're creating is factually correct, if you're doing that, you know, you're writing content or whatever, or you're just editing content and things. I don't think the tools matter. You know, if someone said to you, you've only got a hammer to build a wall, or you've got the entire tools, would you expect the person with a hammer, if the wall was exactly the same at the end of it, would you expect them to charge you less because they use a hammer, as opposed to the person that's got the mixer, the shovel, all the different bits and pieces, all the paraphernalia, but the end result is exactly the same?
Yeah.
The tools don't matter. The skills that you have to implement those tools to create the end result that the client needs, that's what they're being charged for. So forget about the hourly and the minutes, things like that. If you think that a charge for doing this takes you 10 minutes and you charge them 100 quid, $100, whatever. Well, as long as that's acceptable to them and they get the end result, it shouldn't matter what tool or tools you're using to get that end result. Charge what you think the end result is worth, not the tools you use to get to the end result.
It's like lawyers. If a lawyer charges like £200 an hour and you only have a 10-minute call with them, they're still going to charge you £200 for the hour. It was up to the hour. And Moami does say their client is a lawyer, but I'm going to give you, Mark was going to say something, but I'm going to give you a quick example. I went to a restaurant and I ordered a glass of Coke, and it was £2.50. And I just ordered it. They came to my table with a glass and a can of Coke. And it literally said multi-pack 50p on the can. They opened it, poured it in. I still paid £2.50. That, you know, doesn't, you know.
They're missing a trick.
That's what it is.
They're missing a trick because Postmix is far cheaper than that. So you did well. It's a guilt thing, isn't it? You've had this idea in your head that it's going to take you a couple of... It doesn't matter how you price your jobs, whether it's by the hour, by the job. Ultimately, you still have a value on your time per hour because the world works like that. We all know a national minimum wage. We know... So we do kind of factor in time into the jobs we do. But for this, it's kind of irrelevant. The point is, you've had this kind of idea that it's going to take you about this amount of time. You'll be doing it this way. And then suddenly you find a 4-second solution. Great. Make hay while the sun shines, because AI is going to make life easier for us, but also increase our competition as developers and designers. So get in it now, use it, learn all you can about it to make sure you're on top of it, because who knows where it's going. You know, we've already got the starts of these AI website generators. They're a bit rubbish at the minute, but they won't be rubbish forever.
Well, it's a bit like some companies out there, they build up templates, right? I mean, they have what's like a turnkey solution. So someone buys a website, they just load, they go, here's 5 templates. Which one do you want? They load up the template, change the logo, image, and they still charge X amount for like just to change the logo and content. That's okay. That's their business model. And at the end of the day, the client doesn't really need to know but that's how they did it. They just want to know, like Paul said, that at the end of the day, I've got a functional website that delivers what I thought I was paying for, you know, kind of thing, and it meets their goals or requirements or whatever. So,
but you could use the same analogy with page builders. Page builders make the whole process of building a website quick, whereas at the end of it, what do you get? You output HTML and PHP and JavaScript and CSS, which is no different to if you sat there and you typed every single character out. But you don't feel guilty about using a page builder because it's a more productive tool that gets the end result.
Do you find that's a case of we don't feel guilty anymore?
I never felt guilty if I'm
I
honest.
didn't.
It was a tool.
But do you think some developers out there, the old
I think
school
we were
guys,
made.
start to feel?
I think we were made to feel guilty, but I think it's a case of like, I think I've used this analogy so many. There was one guy I used to work with. If he ever knew anyone in the office was decorating and he heard them say, oh, I'm going to use like a roller or a paint pad or a sprayer, he went off on one. You must paint with a brush. 200 years ago, we didn't have a roller. And I was like, who cares what we didn't have 200 years ago or whatever? Just, I'm going to use a roller and a pad. And they always try and make you squirm a bit. And it was like, whatever, I'm not painting your house. You do your house, I'll do my house. And I feel like it's, there's always someone who's not going to like something. Like, how do you make your tea? Do you leave the bag in and then add the milk? Or do you take the bag out and then you add, how do you make it? It's what works for you.
These people were the gatekeeper type people though, weren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like when you went, you go back 25 years, right? And if you wanted to know about things like, let's just say the printing industry, and design for the printing industry, there would be people inside that industry that would not tell you the skills and the things you needed to know to be able to do it effectively and productively and maybe be quicker at it. And they were gatekeepers to knowledge and information. And thankfully, sites like YouTube and things like that have sort of kicked those doors open, and they make it accessible to everybody. I mean, we're all guilty of doing exactly that. We learn something or we know something and we want to share it to help other people become better, quicker, faster, whatever it is at what they're doing. Whereas other people are very much a case of, I don't want you to know that, because if you know that, you'll take my job and I'll make no money. The reality is people will learn, you learned it from somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like it's skills that you pick up. So I don't see the sort of issue with it, but you'll always have these gatekeepers of knowledge or you did have. And I think your painting bloke is probably a good example.
It's like Photoshop.
But you just ask him though, say, do you use Dulux paint, or do you actually go and get the pigment for your paint from your 10 colors of pigment you use in, and you hand create the paint? No, you've got a bloody B&Q and you buy a tub of paint. So, you can't whinge in one hand and then benefit in the other.
Well, it's like I was saying, like Photoshop. So when I first started using that in 2005, there was another person in the office, and she hated my guts. If she ever heard or noticed that I was showing someone a digital image I created, like a character art or whatever, concept art, that's not real painting, and I was like, well, actually, I'm using less material, I'm making less mess, So it's I don't want to say I don't want to say it's the Luddite way of thinking, but I feel like there's always throughout life, right? Even now in the future, and I think even we'll be guilty of it. When our kids are older or whatever, and they'll be doing stuff like, we're going to kind of go, that's not music or whatever, So I feel like it's just a matter of opinion. I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore now. George says,
I love, hang on, just before that one, I love Halal's comment here.
Oh,
just take your time typing the prompt.
Yep, 2 hours. 2 hours.
Yep. Love that.
That's a very good point there. George says, I'm a coder. I use Divi. People need to chill. I code plugins, building sites with builders. Exactly. Look, whatever you need to do and however you do it, it's totally okay. And if you want to charge $100,000 for a website, I wish. But if that's what you want to charge and people are going to pay it, fine. And you may be doing no more different than someone in another country that's charging $50 for exactly the same website, kind of. But that's just the way it is,
Yeah. Do you think they use special cows for the milk at Waitrose compared to Lidl?
Unlikely.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Point, isn't it? There's not, it's all about marketing and branding. Somebody is likely to pay an internet celebrity like Imran more for a website than
you.
Than me.
But it's like the clothes we wear, right? What is the difference between a t-shirt from Next or River Island or Primark or whatever? They're all kind of made in the same place with the same material. It's just a label attached to it.
That's 35 quid.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so
Well, to give you a good example, there's a factory not far away from where I live, and it's called Burton's Biscuits, and they manufacture biscuits. And literally, you've got a production line of where the biscuits are being produced, and they go down, and gets to a certain point, and it goes off to the one side, and that's the M&S, and it goes off the other side, and that's your Tesco's. And the only difference is they just take a different route and they get packed into a different box. They are exactly the same product, So I don't know why we got to a biscuit analogy or anything else, but
no, it's like sorry, I won't stay on this, but my auntie used to work in a factory, and they used to the jumpers would come in from another country, and Stone Island, yes, Stone Island, with the badge you have to have. All they did was sew on the button. And then, the jumpers were like £100 or so, really expensive, but that's literally all they did. And then the same company would send another batch of jumpers in slightly different design. You don't add the batch, and that went to a budget store. But you know what? I mean, we could go on and on and on with analogies about this, but don't feel guilty. Moi, me. It's not even your real name. Moi, me. Because doesn't that mean Mimi?
Yeah.
Moi, me. Mimi. Yeah, okay. I just want to check I've not missed out any other comments on here. Have you been recording videos, Paul?
Yeah, I just recorded one, and I've got another one that I'm kind of in the planning stages of, which I might try to do.
I was going to have a video request for Paul, but then I realised it's a stupid one. I was going to suggest a really deep dive into advanced theme settings, but they change every week, so
they do. And to be honest, I would be there for a week recorded. There's so many settings.
I think it is a bit. For all that flexibility, it comes at that cost, doesn't it? Of so many settings to get your head around.
Yeah. And it's like you'll turn half a dozen on, and you'll go, I don't know where to find them.
No, what did I do? Why won't? I mean, it's like that. All these a lot of plugins say you can use ChatGPT version 4 inside your stuff, but actually to get it to work, you've got to have paid for use outside of your Plus subscription, and nobody ever says that to you. You have to go and work that one out for yourself. It's like WP Turbo version 4 support.
Yeah. I think what's it called? SEOwriting.ai is the same as well, because you can use your GPT-4 API in there as well.
But to get that to work, you've got to top it up.
You do, and it gets expensive then.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen it yet, Paul, or not. I mean, I've been super excited about the video I put out yesterday about the custom field repeater, and I mean, I got excited for all the wrong reasons because it was always hidden away there. But have you got any views on that? And you're allowed to criticize as well if you don't like it. But do you have any views about it, like in terms of like the fact it was kind of always there? I mean, I've made very clear in the video, and I've said to other people, you should still use ACF and other solutions for more detailed or certain types of custom fields, especially if you're trying to feed it through into other systems or third-party tools. But have you got any views on that?
I remember it when it wasn't hidden away, which is kind of pre-Gutenberg. And I liked what you did with it. I liked the fact that it opened up. It was a lot easier to use, and the way you showed it was a cool way of showing it how to use it. I just never liked that way of working with custom fields. It always felt really clunky, like it was bolted on. And as you saw yourself, if you had rank math installed and a couple of other things, you've got this humongous long list of variables. And then you've got to use another plugin to get rid of those variables. And you've also got to make sure that those variables are not being used somewhere else.
Exactly.
So
there is risk. There is a bit of risk,
I can see it in a simple form, it could be useful. But I don't think I would ever use it. I think I would rather just use something like the free version of ACF, because it's nicer to use. It's less obtrusive into the interface itself. And I think you just get more control over it. But as you demonstrate, it's demonstrating something that people may not know about, and it may be a perfect solution for some people that don't want another plugin or just want to be able to do that where and when they want to.
And I think if you've got a simple website where over the lifespan, you've been careful with what you install, and you'll be okay. But I was shocked to see that plugins that I'd removed like a year ago, I didn't appreciate that. And they're not, and the meta field was still there. And I was like,
this is why you'll notice in any of my videos where there's an option with a plugin that you install, it says there's a little checkbox or a little tick box that says completely uninstall everything about this plugin when you remove it from database and everything. And I always draw attention to that in any plugin that has it, because as you've just highlighted, there's a lot of residual junk left behind when you remove a plugin. And this is something people don't understand, is that they think, I've got rid of it, so it has no impact anymore.
I think it's annoying, though, that a lot, sorry, Mark, there's a lot of plugins that don't give you that feature, that setting, which I feel that should be like standard.
Yeah, but equally, how many times have you been glad that when you change your mind, reinstall something, all your settings are still there?
There is kind of.
There is. That's what backups are for.
Yeah,
but you might not want to use. You might have not. The water might have passed under the bridge. You could have 100,000 new customer orders.
Swings and roundabouts, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's like anything. I think what Imran stumbled upon is it's one of those sort of developer features that WordPress have made available to users, because clearly Rank Math and other people are using it for features with their software. So it's
like DLLs on a Windows PC. It's like you'd uninstall a piece of software and then you'd find all these bloody DLLs dotted around your entire system that just take up a lot of junk, and there's registry entries for software you've removed. You can tell I come back from a background of building PCs.
Oh, I'm currently having daily arguments with my son because he's like, Dad, I want to install this mod for Minecraft or GT. And I'm like, no, you are not installing a mod. He goes, Dad, it's for free. I went, yes, so's the malware that probably comes with it. You are not installing that mod. But I'm worried he's going to start to learn how to do that. He's turning into a right little hacker. We've been live for 1 hour 16. I'm going to close off in about a minute and a bit. So if anyone's got any final questions, please fire them away. I think this has been really, really cool, interesting chat today with Paul and Mark. We've covered off some interesting subjects there that I know a lot of you out there are probably questioning or thinking about yourself, especially the Moi Me one about what do I charge and is it okay for me to use AI? Do I have to use Figma? And
can I just round off just to kind of like, it was a question, it was part of his question that kind of came up, or part of his comment that kind of triggered something I forgot to say about it earlier on. The way I kind of worked, that I found fair when you sort of charge in clients, is that if you say you got an hourly rate of say £60, what I would say is I would always break that into 15-minute increments. So if someone said to me, can you make a change? It would take me 10 minutes. I would charge them, a quarter of that overall hourly rate. Because I always felt that was fairer for people that just want something. They would literally allow me to I'd have to log in, take a minute or two out of my day, change a few bits and pieces, update something, whatever. I didn't feel comfortable charging them an hour's worth of money for it.
Agreed.
And I think clients always kind of felt that was a nice way of doing it, because the previous experience with other developers, they charge them an hour for a 2-minute job. And Mark, I think you do the same thing. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to somebody recently. Said, if the phone rings and you have to stop what you're doing, start what you're doing. Apparently, as research, it takes 11 minutes to get back to where you were for your brain to pick everything up. So even if it is a 2-minute job, if it's coming urgently and you've got to stop doing what you're doing and recommence that. Yeah, but I'm saying 15 minutes, half an hour. I wouldn't bill less than 15 minutes.
No,
I'm not like a solicitor with a 6-minute
timer.
No. But it becomes painful then trying to monitor exactly how many minutes, then break down your hourly rate into those minutes. That's a pain. 15-minute block, I think is fair.
Actually brings you on to those sort of clients you've had ages, and they sort of send you a WhatsApp or a Facebook Messenger message saying, "Oh, you couldn't have a look at this," or "When you've got a moment, could you?" And I last week I just said, how do I bill for a moment, mate?
Well, when there's 15 of them, that's 15 moments, that's 15 minutes. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good point.
Nebulous, vague questions as well, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Right, cool. I'm going to end the live chat. They're going to say thanks to Mark, thanks to Paul. Will I be live tomorrow? Well, I'll be alive, but will I do a live chat tomorrow? It depends on a couple of little project things I'm working on, but hopefully I will be live at the same time. So catch you all later. See you soon. Bye, everyone.
Take care.